Bitcoin on the road to recovery. It's starting to bounce back. But what most traders are missing, the real money is going to be, or the clues, I should say, are going to be in the equities, not so much the coins today. We got to keep our eye on crypto stocks. As I said yesterday, Coinbase, Marathon, Riot, CleanSpark. We got to watch what's happening in those stocks because we do not want to see any contagion. Today's the day that we look for contagion and contagion. All right, welcome back, Crypto Crew. It's your boy Tom here, bringing you the hottest in Bitcoin and crypto action. If you like what you see, give us a like. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already. Please share us with your friends. You know, YouTube's quite tough. We like to get our channel out there. As you know, we're trying to be cutting edge. We're trying to get you to be the most intelligent traders at the bar. And remember, always come on over to X and follow us on X, where we talk about Bitcoin, crypto all day, every day, because we are crypto maniacs. All right, let's break this all down for you right now. Let's check out. This is a wonderful chart to look at because we could actually see everything in one shot. We could see futures. We could see hot spots. We could see, basically fear and greed index, Bitcoin dominance. Everything is right here. Really good chart. It's bitcoincounterflow.com. You should have this chart up so you can actually get a good overall perspective of the market. But let's break it all down. Let's get into our short-term little chart right here with a 2-hour chart right there. All right. So what did we say yesterday? We said yesterday that we would be capped at 115.6. We should be trading in between these two levels, 108.7 and 115.6. Lo and behold, that top was pretty awesome, because, I only talk about what happened. I never predict like where markets have resistance or support, according to some people that come onto my YouTube. But obviously they're not looking at the same, they're not watching my videos, man. They're not watching my videos. I don't do 2020. I basically say, okay, we did this. Now we're going to do that. Yes, I do. All right. We got 30 years in this stuff. I ain't afraid to put my nads on the line at all. All right, so as it stands right now, Bitcoin back above 114,000. It climbed over 12,400 from Friday, Monday, October 13th. Sheer manipulation, where in this price point, there was only one group that got Bitcoin down there, and that was the exchanges themselves. That's it. Nobody got Bitcoin down there. Nobody got XRP at $1.25. Nobody got anything at the extremes. That was all reserved for the exchanges. Yep, that's right. They really hurt a lot of people. And I'm telling you, a lot of those people are not going to return. They were summertime soldiers. They're not real traders. They basically, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. I'm going to buy Solana. I'm going to buy XRP. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy that. I'm just going to put it in. It's all going to be green lights. It's all going to be moving up in one direction. It's all going to be great. Wrong. Markets just don't do that. Actually, they try to hunt those people out, and they did successfully do it. But where are we right now? We got the intraday high right now, as I predicted it would be, right around 115.6, 115.8. Low was right now 111.275. It's been a nice relief range after what happened on Friday. Now, I want you to take note of something. Friday, Friday the 10th of October has to be a day that you remember forever. Because markets have memory, and it's very, very important that you remember that date, because that was a total meltdown. Now, just like you can remember dates of extreme rallies, you really need to remember anniversary dates of extreme moves downward and flush outs. Very, very important. My treasurer used to tell me all the time, like, he used to scream at me, Tom, you have no memory. You don't remember 3 years ago this happened in dollar yen? And I'm like, 3 years ago? He's like, yes, you need to remember like major moves. 3 years ago it did this, and he knew exactly like the points. I was like, this guy is like, either he's like looked it up and then decided to like try to make me look like an idiot, but I don't believe that's the case. Because he really wasn't one of a chartist. He didn't go back on charts. He actually never even looked at charts. He looked at the Bloomberg terminal and he looked at interest rates and things like that. But anyway, so it's very, very important to remember. That's one thing I took from him. And I do. I actually try to remember certain points, and we're going to get into that right now. So right now, let me move over to the next chart that I want to show you exactly what's happening, all right? Or how we could look at this. We had these 2 points. Excellent. Now, let's get into another chart where we can compare COVID crash to the tariff crash right now, and I'm going to point out some points on the chart that I believe are very important, and I know they're very important. So hang on one second. Let me get over to that chart. All right, I'm looking at these 2 charts side by side. Listen, markets have memory. They don't have precise memory, but they have a better memory than human beings have. As I just said, that's why it's very, very important to remember certain movements and days that they happen. Now, they're not going to happen, 3 years from now on October 10th. And, we're not saying that. We're saying remember the move, the size of the move, and what happened. Now, I'm going to explain something to you that is one of my trading philosophies, and it's helped me a lot. Now, why this philosophy that I'm about to show you is basically gives me confidence. It also makes me fearless. Okay, because once you become fearless in the marketplace and you have a good confidence level, of course you're not going to win every trade, but you're going to know exactly where the market is, and you're going to be able to react. Instead of just blindly guessing, you're going to be able to understand market movements better. Now, if we're looking at the structure of this, now I did not track the market during the 2020 COVID crash. I didn't do it. I wasn't really even involved in Bitcoin back then. Okay. So right now, if we look at this structure right here, this complete structure of where we just have, we're calling the tariff crash right now. As we said, nobody got Bitcoin down there except for the exchanges themselves. They wiped everybody out. Okay. But that's not the important points of the chart. That was the flush out. Yeah. All right. Now, September 18th of 2025. The market. Okay, let me get my tools so we can show you this. And I want to try to do it as cleanly as I can because I'm horrible with the tools. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Okay, but September. The date in September 18th is an important date, or it's actually an important price point, not so much the date. The price point is very, very important. But just bear with me here. We made an original high at 123.218 on July 14th. Okay, this says August. Where's my, right here, this one actually, right there. There it is. We made a high of 123.218. We fell down to the 111, like 920, and then the market takes out this top and creates this double top right here. So we move up to 124,471 on August, right? So now we got 2 key points. We have this high, which is now a pivot point. We get this low, which is also a pivot point. It's an important point that it needs to hold in order for this marketplace to, from this new high, taking out this high, we have a double top right now. This pivot point becomes very, very important to hold. So if you were saying, okay, I'm a Bitcoin bull, I'm going to wait for a pullback to 112. I look to buy 112, and I have to escape, with a decent stop, because if it doesn't hold, I'm wrong. Now, how low is it going to go? Nobody ever knows how low it's going to go. You can make price projections off of it and try to make a good idea, but in reality, it's never really good to try to catch a falling knife. You don't want to try to catch a falling dagger. You want to actually wait for the marketplace to reestablish itself and actually say, okay, that's a new pivot point. All right, so here we go. Now, this is important. This is where I'm saying it's kind of important. We make this high right here. Okay, the marketplace comes down, it breaks through that pivot, and actually comes down and creates this low. Okay, now that's the one. Now that's the low at 107, like 350, right? Marketplace comes back up. Okay, hang on a second. Why isn't my thing going here? That's supposed to be a path. Okay, of course. I don't have a path. Maybe I got an arrow. Let me get my path. Hang on one second. Oh, man. All right. I wanted to do it with the path. I'm not good with the path. All right. So we make this high right here. We blow down through. We blow down through this low, right? This low right there. We blow through that low, and the market creates this new low at 107,350. Now, this part of the structure is now known as a natural rally. This movement up is now known as a natural rally. Natural rally to 117,900 I have. 117,900. Rejection at that point, downward to this. This is now called a natural reaction. That movement down is now called a natural reaction till finally the blast off point where we take out the high, we create the new high, and then bang, we get this massive flush out, creating this area right here on the chart as like, okay, now, as we said, that was complete manipulation, and really nobody got him there. But it's now a pivot point. So what I'm saying here is we had this movement, we had this high here, we had a natural reaction down, we had a movement upward. This is considered natural rally. The break of this top would be considered upward movement, rejection, back downward to 107. That was also called a natural reaction down. This is all like Wyckoff. Movement back up, natural rally to 117. Movement back down, natural reaction to 1086. Bang, breakout, new high. Now, boom, flush out. So the reason I'm pointing it out is because this high of 117.9 is now the new gatekeeper. Okay, so if I'm looking at market structure, I got a high, a low, I got a higher high. Now I got a deeper low. I got a lower high. I got a higher low. I got the high. Okay, we got the flush out. This point, you could actually put an Andrew's pitchfork on it. Low, high, low, and then you'd have your pitchfork and actually get your new meridian. But I'm just telling you, the 117,900 is the new important point. It's the gatekeeper. I just explained to you the natural rallies, natural reactions. Okay, now, the 117.9, this point that I'm talking about right here, sits right before the psychological wall of 120. Now, you could say 118. Yeah, there's going to be problems at 118. But we're going to have problems at 120. We're going to definitely have some issues at 127. However, after that flush out like we had, down to here, the breakout of this top could be and should be pretty violent. So as it sits right now, it must hold above right here, 107. So the two gatekeepers support right now sits at 107. Forget about this. That was the flush out, right? So this is really the most important line in the sand, 107, say. That's got to hold. If we break 107, yeah, it's going to the deeper correction. Yes. So that's your gatekeeper on the bottom, and the top is the 117.8. All right. Now, this all looks familiar because if we look at COVID crash and we look at what happened with this tariff crash, back then, panic peaked. Panic peaked here as well. Bitcoin got nuked. Bitcoin right here. Bitcoin got nuked. I mean, but we stood above 100,000 here, man. That's another point I'm going to bring up in a second. But smart money loaded up, but you couldn't get them here. No, there's no way. I'm sure it was reserved for some special players. Yeah, they might have gotten some there, but I'm telling you, the exchanges got it there, right? But the result of this breakout was a 15x run. So really, fear. This whole fear scenario wasn't really where you were supposed to exit. It was like really where the entry point should be. So the points I'm bringing up right now is that this is your real important bottom to watch, 107.2. This is your breakout point. This is the gatekeeper, 117.9, 118, then 120. Okay, now we're going to take it step at a time. Now, but what do we have to look at? Today is a very, very important day that we have to look at a few things. I'm going to take you over to them to make sure you're well aware of them, because we're going to make sure there's no contagion. We want to make sure, because the equity market is going to be the canary in the coal mine for us. All right. And nobody's going to be looking at that, but you got to look at those crypto stocks. Okay. I'm telling you, you got to think like an institutional banker or institutional desk, and they're going to be watching this stuff very, very carefully. So let me take you over to the first stock. Let's look at coin. We're looking at coin, right? We're very, very important market today that really has to like start to show some semblance of a rally. Now, I do believe that we could dip down to the 50 or even the 0.382 fib level. That would be fine. That would also clear all these little minor gaps that we have right here. Now, this is a daily chart, so we could see that, but we need to start to see recovery. So even if we start to recover up to the 0.786, I would change this fib level. Frank uses 0.786. I like to use 0.82. That's my fib level. Since really 786 is just a square root, but I just said, well, I think 82 is better for skid. That's just personally what I use. But we would like to start to see some recovery in coin. We don't want to see dumps. Definitely don't want to start seeing dumps in this. Let's move on over to another chart. Let's check out Clean Spark. Really important for miners, right? This is like a miner type of the guys that do the mining and stuff. This is an important chart to also keep a lookout for. We want to see, yes, we could see a little bit deeper of a retracement, but it would be wonderful if we just get an immediate like up movement and an up close on the day, which would be great. Okay, so that would actually show no contagion. Let's move on over to Riot. Let's check that stock out. Let's pull that one up. All right, so here's another one. We got support down at 16. Resistance is at like 25. We could actually see a pull down. Let me pull out channel. Here we got a fib channel going right there. We could actually see potential dip to right around 20, potentially even down to this pivot point here at 18. However, if we start to see upward movement right away, good sign. Real good sign. What else we have to look at? We have to look at, I do over Mara. I think I got to do Mara. Hang on a second. Do we do this one? No, here's Mara. Okay, right here. Here's another one that is very, very important. Here's support. First line of support sits right here at 17 bucks about. We want to see this actually start holding this pivot here like 1755 or actually this low. We'd like to start to see it start climbing back up again, probably like to 19 and a half. That would be a good sign. Now, also, all eyes have to be on what? We got to be on IBIT shares, man. IBIT's really, really important. That's another canary in the coal mine. But the individual stocks, yes, themselves are very, very important, but also ETF flows. Okay, we want to see IBIT start to recover. We're coming off a base of 66.20. Okay, so we remember it was at the heights, it was at like 68 and a half. So right now we're going to want to see this to stabilize and start to recover when the market opens. So keep your eye on iShares, IBIT, very, very important, and of course Grayscale, right? So let's move on over to Grayscale. All right, looking at Grayscale stock itself, down by the 0.382. We want to start to see, I definitely want to see it hold this moving average, right? I mean, if it dips below, it could go down towards 88 bucks. That's fine. As long as we don't break this bottom, we're okay. But I'd like to start to see immediately on the open, this market start to recover and start to move up. Oh, it'd be awesome if it took the top out today. That would be just bloodbath. That would mean everything's rallying, everything's fine. So these are the things that we have to, keep in mind. All right. So if we look at this and everything is good, everything's green lights, we don't see any contagion happening. We could say that the Bitcoin dip was just the same playbook that we've seen before. I'm going to take you over there. I want to show it to you. We told you this is very, very important. Weighted moving average 14,100 EMA. Really, the movement down, no matter where you got them, I mean, it's still kind of near a bottom, right? I mean, it's not, of course, it's not 107, right? But really, really good. I mean, if you had the chutzpah to actually scoop some coin down there, right? So every dip we saw was a gift. Every panic was a transfer of wealth, and we tried to tell you. I mean, they definitely got a lot of people. They didn't get our traders, which is good. Make sure you get into our pro group, all right? Because we have conviction, and conviction is tested every day, but we know when wealth is transferred, we're trying to grab that wealth ourselves, all right? So conviction is tested and wealth is transferred. Another way of seeing it is if you look at the crowd always panics I mean, it just happens. Right here, if you're looking at this, right? The crowd is panicking, the Bitcoin chart isn't. It isn't. It's starting to recover. Every time we hit the zone, Bitcoin loaded the next leg. Now, of course, there's going to be plenty of opportunity. Okay, we're going to have, like I said, 117, like 118 is the gatekeeper right now. Once we break that, we can go up to like 120, get a retrace back down to potentially the 117 level, 116.5, something like that, and then market could start moving up. So we're going to have a lot of opportunity, but you got to get involved. You got to have mentors. You got to have some help. Come on over to the pro group. We'll help you out. All right. So look, we're looking at this. Extreme fear always feels like it's the end, but it's not. It's the reset. Don't let emotions make the decisions the markets are designed to exploit. Now, you got to watch metals as well. So we got a lot of stuff on the board that we got to look at. We got to look at metals. We got to look at equities. We got to look at IBIT shares, ETF flows. We got to look at all that stuff. But look, it's what we got to do. You think money doesn't come easy. There is some work involved. Thank God we're not digging ditches for it, and I'd never be able to do it. But like by trying to use my head, I could use my head. So we got to look at metals as well. We know that metals always move first, okay? So Bitcoin digital gold always follows. It's going to happen. Momentum is transferring, and we already know what comes next. All right, right now I'm believing that that the marketplace really got everybody by the short hairs, man. Unbelievable how they did it. Unbelievable. Geniuses. Geniuses, okay? But anyway, like when gold finishes, Bitcoin takes over. We know that. In like 2017, when gold peaked out, Bitcoin rallied 30 times. All right. 2020, gold peaked out, Bitcoin went up 6. 2025, I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think that gold is continuing and Bitcoin's also going to have tailwinds from it. That's why I think it's now. I know I always say be careful of like it's different this time, but if we look at global liquidity and look at like what's coming up with the U.S. Federal Reserve, I think really money's going to flow into Bitcoin, and also gold is going to continue. But if gold stalls, it's right out now. It's like what 4,000 what? Let me see what the heck is gold at today. Let's see something. Gold is at $4,085. All right, the next the next level of resistance for gold really is up at like 4160 or something like that. Wait, see. Yeah, 4160. All right, that's the next level of resistance. It's probably going to go there. I mean, the right now, the way the world looks, everybody's like running to safety. So they're going to get into gold, and they're going to get into Bitcoin. All right, so remember, capital always rotates. You just got to follow the flow. All right. Again, like I said, you got to watch the equity markets, right? The IBIT, Grayscale, Mara, CLSK, Coin, COIN, Riot, RIOT, Riot. All right, because we're really seeing the strongest Bitcoin in history. All right, now I know it. All right, you can say, "Oh, Bitcoin's not around that long," right? But right now we're seeing the strongest Bitcoin ever. It is for sure the strongest Bitcoin in history. For those of you that are cogent enough to see it, and we're showing it to you on this chart, you got to be cogent. You got to understand it. Okay? It's right here. All right? Right now, all-time high liquidation event occurred. Global fear spike, still above 100,000. Recovered $12,000 from that spike down, that wick that hit 102 that nobody got except for select few. Nobody got it. Believe me, if I had a standing order to buy at 103, I wouldn't have got filled. No, that was a spy. Never would have got filled. All right, because they would have said, well, it needed to be the offer at 103,000, and the bid was 102,500, and the offer was 112. So you didn't get filled. Oh, really? Really? That's a market? No, that's not a market. That's complete manipulation. I've seen it before. I've lived through it. Oh, I don't want to. I could tell you stories about Italy and Mark Lira. Oh God. Oh, never mind. But that'll be it for another day. But right now, people are still bearish. I've seen it on it. People talking on us. Oh, it's going down. Blah 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 blah. But let's see what happens when it's 180,000. Let's see what happens. All right. So we got global liquidity, and the whole crypto and equity market survive on global liquidity. So we're going to move on over to Ethereum. Before I move on over to Ethereum, I want to make sure that you're well aware of our free trading community. All right, because this is what I keep talking about. This is where you got to get involved. You got to come on over. It's completely free to join. It's right here in the description. You click this link right there, you'll be taken over to our free trading community. We drop insane alpha trading opportunities all day, short-term, long-term gems. We got you covered in there. Hey, if you're interested in FOREX trading or you want to dabble into FOREX trading, you got my little site right there where I am your chief dealer, keeping you sane in insane markets. Right there, Tom at Park Avenue Trading. If you are a lone wolf, as far as trading is concerned, I can understand that. You click this link, you'll be taken over to WeX, all right, one of the brokers of our choice. Right now, they're offering insane deals. Check out the link. I'm sure you're going to be happy with what the deals they're doing. I think it's completely free, no fees for life or something like that. We also recommend BTCC. They're giving a $500 giveaway for all new clients. Excellent place. Our crew backs both of these brokers wholeheartedly. So make sure you if you want to level up your trading, check these links out. Get involved. Come on over into our group. I mean, like I said, it's free. You got nothing to lose. If you don't like it, you could always leave. We're not going to keep you hostage. All right, so let's move on over to good old Ethereum. All right, still got the bull flag working for us? Yes, we do, because this was complete utter manipulation. Not worried about it. Matter of fact, if it was true, if it was a real meltdown, it would have broke this lower pivot right there, 3003. It did not. It came within a cat's whisker of it. But again, that was stop loss running. So right now, Ethereum flexed. It's up over 260 points, trading right around 4,100. With highs up at 4,200 today. So Ethereum's bounce actually outpaced Bitcoin today. So watch that Ethereum Bitcoin cross. If it strengthens, also likely next up to fire. So really what we have to do is let's come on over to the chart. We're going to show you the resistance points and the support points just as we did in Bitcoin. Where is my chart there? Hang on a second. All right, short-term Ethereum support sits right at 3,900. It's a little bit higher than what Frank's got here at 3,008. I believe it's like right here, 3,009. That is the short-term support. Short-term resistance to get through, the gatekeeper right now is 4,003. If we can get above that short term 4,003, then we're going to be threatening this top right here, the 4,800. Okay, now it's going to come fast. All right, because right now, as we can see it, the liquidity is packed. All right, if we get above 4,008, 4,009, that's going to be all stop loss running, and that's going to actually make the spark. Okay, that's going to really set it off. So liquidity is packed. The resistance is thinning. The bears themselves, I'm sure they're slowly getting out, because you could see the Ethereum itself is not really taking off. It's being held. It's kind of slowly accumulated, which means only one thing, that when the explosion happens, it's going to be massive. We're going to have targets, 6,800 and 10,000 beyond. It's not a rally. It's going to be the rewriting of history. And really, only the fearless are going to be able to hold. And we're going to show you, look, we got the Ethereum is walking the ladder, man. Been showing you this chart forever. Remember when 1440 was a dream. 4,400, 4,800. Right now, we have a bullish retest going on. A 4,000 was the level. We're just crawling right back above 4,000. Man, when the breakout occurs, first stop 6,500, 6,800, next stop 8,000, next stop 10,000. We know one thing, and one thing for sure, that liquidity is everything in all crypto markets and all equity markets. And I'm going to just take you over to the liquidity chart. Global liquidity. When global liquidity increases, Bitcoin, Ethereum, equities explode, even metals, because they're worried about inflation, right? Bitcoin's going to explode. It's all here. Ethereum has flexed, and it's actually showing it's on its way. All right. So your most important points, as I said, were 3,000, say 900 is your support. 4,002 gets the party started. 4,008 vaporation, it's going to just be vaporized up there. It's going to be stop loss running for those that did not enjoy the party and dance near the door. As I said, it's walking the ladder. Let's go on over to good old Bitcoin dominance. We can see Bitcoin dominance actually broke its ascending wedge. Bitcoin drops, altcoins are going to get heated up. It's how every alt season begins. The alt engine has been switched on. Ignition has happened. It's got a little smoke coming out of the bottom of the engines. You just don't see the flames yet, okay? So really speaking of alts themselves, let's move over to an altcoin chart so we can check it out. If we look at this chart right here, it says it all. Let's pull this down. Let's get everything nice and front and center. Okay, right there. All-time high, shakeout, then expansion. 2019, 2021 played the script. 2023, 2025 is just the sequel. It's starting to happen. 2025, we believe, is not going to be just a rally. It's going to be a nuclear explosion. Wealth is going to be made. You need the right utility coins. Get into our pro group. Come on, it's free. All right. So as we wrap up today, crew, we got to think like an institutional desk. You don't just chase candles. You track, you track flows and contagion. So you need to watch those equity markets. Okay, when you see volatility hit crypto, you look for cross market bleed, where the capital is going to rotate next. Okay, so right now, the rotation could be moving into crypto equities, right? So we got to make sure we pay attention to that. When it rebounds, you'll often see Coinbase, Marathon, Mara, Riot, and all the Clean Spark start front running the next crypto wave. That's why I'm trying to point you to that, okay? You got to make sure you pay attention to that. So we know what was driving all this, right? That stupid tariff on China, right? That's old history, right? But so we had the tariff nonsense, and now what do we got? We got basically a classic leverage flush that happened, from Friday over the weekend, and now we're resetting. So you got to pay attention. It's textbook. Shake the weak hands out, let the pros reload. So ETF flows, if they're overall positive, institutions have bought the dip, even as retail panicked. So again, you got to keep your eyes on Coinbase, Marathon, Riot, Clean Spark. You got to make sure you watch iBit. You got to make sure you look at Grayscale today. You got to watch the gold market. I'm sorry to say. Now, if you don't want to do all that, get into our free group. We'll be monitoring all that stuff for you. We got professional traders in there that are watching all this stuff, that actually alert our traders to, hey, we see this setup. Look at gold, look at silver, look at Bitcoin, where we are on the Bitcoin map. Remember, I gave you the points. The 117, like 118 is the gatekeeper right now. We need to hold this level right here, 107.4. So we got Bitcoin. The structure is solid. It's consolidating right now between, let's say, 112 and 118 resistance. Ethereum is leading in relative strength. Solana, that's another one I should have mentioned, actually. Solana is actually testing, the 200 level right now? So Solana is still testing the 200 zone, okay? So Bitcoin holds the range this midweek. Look for alt rotation and equally an equity correlation spikes. So we're going to start to see the equity start to pick up again, those coins that I just mentioned. All right, so remember, always come on over. Make sure you follow us on X, where we talk about crypto all day, every day, because we are crypto maniacs. Everything is here for you. All right, so what do you got to do? Well, for sure, you got to join the free community. What else you got to do? Well, you got to check out my little FX page, man. Check it out. Please join. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. I got a bet going on. And the guy told me, like, there were no rules that I couldn't ask anybody to join. So I'm thinking back on the rules. But I got 2 boxes of cigars I got to pay because the first one I completely flunked on. So if you are feeling altruistic, go on over to parkavenuetrading.com and on YouTube and sign up for me. What the heck? You might even never know. You might like FOREX. Anyway, so you got to trade with your head, not over it. You definitely got to do your own research if you don't join our community. And as a short-term trader, you got to enjoy the party, but dance near the door. I will see you tomorrow. Stay safe. Trade with your head, not over it. Don't get crazy. Don't fall into panic. Okay? See you soon. Cheers.